Metcalf, we're back 30-30, a very big one today. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. We're going to Tennessee to talk about one of the biggest names in this class, a name that's been generating a ton of buzz in the scouting world. Been a lot of hype going around him. Nate Ament going to Tennessee, like I just said. Gosh, I'm excited for this one. Listed at 6'10", 207 by Tennessee's website. Freshman forward, really young. He was 190 when he got on campus. Everyone wants to talk about weight gain, so there's your weight gain. 190 to 207, 17 pounds, if my math's correct. Metcalf, big name. Big name. This is a talented player that could really space the floor. Beautiful shot from outside. A lot of people think he's in the running to be a top 5 pick if he can have a strong year for Rick Barnes and the Volunteers. So big picture here, Metcalf. Let's just start with it. Nate Ament, tell the fans why they need to buy him. What gets you intrigued?
Yeah, the size and the shooting. Whenever you get someone that big who shoots like he does, it's not that hard to get really, really excited. He's got a gorgeous shot from outside, from the mid-range, and that height and that length allows him to shoot over a lot of smaller defenders. So when you're playing him at the 3 or the 2 or wherever he ends up playing, there are a lot of really fun mismatches that you can try to exploit with him, and just at a base level as that spot up outside shooter. And he's going to find a ton of success. But then on top of that, you look at some of the craft and the footwork in the mid-range and how he draws fouls and creates tough shots and knocks those down. It's a lot of kind of like pro shot selection, a lot of like Chris Middleton type of stuff with his back to the basket, with turnarounds, head fakes, shoulder shimmies, all that kind of stuff. And then I think there's some really fun passing upside there as well when he's able to use that scoring gravity. So base level, really fun shot maker with encouraging size.
The shot making is what's going to get you excited this year. If you're a Tennessee fan, if you're a draft fan, there's going to be instances where you could see just how special it could be. He could pull from deep if you watch his high school tape, like the catch and shoot threat the moment he gets across half court because of the size, because of the beautiful release. We got to see him in person, and you quickly understood the flashes. You're like, first, he's gigantic. Second, there's some really good flashes with his game. There's potential. I think the potential and upside, yes, is very exciting. We always say, I always say, I'll just take the arrow here, but I always say the idea, chasing the idea is scary because you try to sell yourself on something instead of focusing on what is it right now? You try to say well, he could become this. The idea is he could become this. I like where he's at right now with his game, but my biggest thing with Emmett this year is I want us to be patient. I want everyone to be patient. This is a lot of hype that we're building up for someone right now where everyone's trying to be like, hey, he could be right there with the big 3. And I'm like, but he's not there in his development. So let's be patient with this season and going to play for Rick Barnes. They're going to demand a lot out of him. And it's not just scoring. They're going to demand that he's physical. They're going to demand that he plays defense. We've seen that with Rick Barnes teams before. So I'm not a Nate Ament hater. I'm trying to just calm people down from he doesn't have a good couple of games to start the year and everyone's like, he's a bust. I'm like, no, that's not where we need to be. We need to be patient and let him develop really young. I have questions just like most scouts, but I think I'm going to be patient to see if those questions can be answered throughout a full season. So Metcalf, what is it that you're especially wanting to watch with this game? Because we've done this with every prospect on this. We've said, hey, we like this. We need to see this. So what is something you want to see with Nate this year?
Yeah, and so the two big ones are, how does he handle physicality at an SEC level? At Hoop Summit, I was a little more encouraged with his ability to keep his dribble alive while keeping his head up, finding teammates in those kind of situations, but still have to prove it. Doing it high schoolers is one thing. SEC guys, now some of whom are 22, 23 years old, 24 years old, it's a different thing. And then the second is just, can he get to the rim? Ever. I really, really worry not only about the lack of physicality and the lack of strength, hopefully the reported weight gain is useful and, but it's a reported weight gain, got to see it before and see how he uses that to his advantage and if he can actually create advantages. But aside from not being the strongest guy out there, he has I'd say a really bad first step. I really worry about the lack of explosiveness. There's no burst. There's no 0 to 60. It's 0 to 10 to 15 to 20 to 25 in terms of speed. And I think I worry about him being really easy to guard because I'm not sure he's totally figured out how to play slow yet. And that's a big adjustment, because getting to your spots in the mid-range, turning over shorter defenders and shooting over them in high school, that's one thing. That's super easy for a lot of guys. We saw Modest Buzelis do it a lot. We saw Patrick Baldwin Jr. do it a lot. But being able to then get to the rim and do it against college guys and pros and get to those same spots, get off those same shots, you have to be able to get to the rim in one way or the other. And I really worry whether or not he's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, this isn't, we're not hating on any prospect, but this is what we're watching, what we've also heard. And this is, we're scouting these guys, trying to focus preseason of like, what's the area of his game we need to see if it can really take a step. I love the reported weight gain. I'm right there with you. It's going to help him a lot. It really is. That roster is going to help him a lot too. They've got a lot of talent there. It's going to be a fun team. I'm with you. The first step is what I want to watch this year, because hey, you can hit a couple threes. Smart team's going to adjust pretty quickly and make you put the ball on the ground, make you hurt them that way. I thought he had heavy feet. And I'm not just saying this because you said it too, but like when I was evaluating, I was like, he's got some heavy feet, and he seems a little predetermined when it came to trying to put the ball on the ground and get somewhere where you could adjust and try to wall him off. AJ DeBanza, who's going to be another prospect we talked to about, in this series, going to BYU. We talk about him a lot this year, but he had a couple stretches where he's like, okay, he jumped in front of Nate before Nate even had a moment to figure out what he wanted to do. But that all being said, Nate's still young, and he could figure that out, and that's where getting reps, strength is going to add to it. So I'm more, when I watch that, I'm saying maybe he's not going to be this unbelievable quick, pull-up guy. Maybe we have to just say, hey, the foundation needs to start in a more realistic place of like, maybe he can be a 3-and-D early on that we're hoping unlocks a little bit more. I love your Chris Middleton shout out. I think that's like a really good, if you're struggling with Nate, you look and you're like, Chris Middleton makes some sense, because Middleton's good with footwork, the mid-range, using his size and his high release. That could get interesting. But I just don't know with Nate if he's ever going to be a guy you give him the ball and you're like, ISO, let him create. Because I think he's more of the spot up guy that maybe is going to be, hey, we could ISO him as a post up mid range guy that he could just shoot over someone, but I don't think he's ever going to be, all right, let him go to work and show off his bag, and he's going to get wherever he wants. That's what I want to see this year is how easy is the self creation? Can he finish? Can he get downhill? That type of game where it's like, okay, I know you could shoot it, but what else do we have to showcase? So any last thoughts on Big Nate before, Volunteer Faithful knocks down our door and is playing Rocky Top on repeat for 24 hours straight?
No, I mean, like when I think about him as like an on-ball creator, I like he flows. I think he flows really well. Like, but there's no pop. And I know the urge is always, 6'9", 6'10", 6'11" wing. Got to compare him to Kevin Durant. Got to compare him to Jason Tatum. He's not those guys, because like even like those guys aren't the most explosive athletes, but they have more pop, especially hang dribble out of their hang dribbles, out of their crossovers, that kind of stuff. They're able to get downhill quicker than Ament has ever shown. Even when you just compare them at the same stage in terms of development and age and all that kind of stuff. But when you look at in terms of like more off-ball scores or back to the basket scores, like a Chris Middleton, that's where I get a little more intrigued with him as like that secondary, tertiary guy, because I like his handle overall. I think he's got a good handle, especially for his size. So if you're able to parlay his spot up shooting into on-ball reps where he can attack closeouts or run a second side pick and roll or run a empty corner DHO or stuff like that, and put him in motion and not be like, hey, here's the ball, go create an ISO. I don't like those. I'd be really surprised if he gets a lot of those possessions this year. But if they use him as an off-ball scorer and off-ball creator, that's where I get more excited about his long-term impact, not only for Tennessee. I think for Tennessee, that'd make him an incredible, especially with Jacoby Gillespie running the show at point. I think that's going to be a huge help to Ament. And then even having a guy like Felix Okpara rim running, lurking in that dunker spot, acting as that weak side rim protector and that primary rim protector is going to do wonders for his game. But I think if the expectation is now we got an all NBA level on ball wing creator, wing scorer, I think you're going to be disappointed. That's not to say he's not a top 10 pick or a top 5 pick. Like the tools are there, but I think the expectations of where that production is going to come from and the type of role that it's going to come in need to be shifted from where they currently are.
Absolutely. I think you put it perfectly. Like the expectations need to be realistic. This could be one that develops throughout the year into like, oh man, it's really starting to click for him. But he's also going to have a tough, this is a tough situation for him too. It's great because I like to see him going to Tennessee because he's going to be tested. He's going to be like SEC basketball. You're going to get the gauntlet thrown at you. But that's why I don't want people to get all overreaction to start the year, because it's like this one could take time, because it's going to be like, oh, you struggled this game. Guess what? Next week up, just a tougher defense. It's going to be something that we have to be patient and see how the progression goes throughout the year. How are the stretches? 5-game stretch, 10-game stretch. What does he look like? How is the film look compared to just the box score? So I'm gonna be patient with Nate this year, and I really do think there's some fun upside and tools, but it's gonna be a fun one for sure. So all right, another 30 down, 30 prospects in 30 days. Make sure you guys check out No Ceilings NBA YouTube channel. One prospect every day as we get closer to draft season starting, baby. Thank you guys for the support, and thanks for checking this one out. We will see you soon. Take care.